These are 4 of the best disc locks you can buy for your motorcycle in 2026, and I'm going to show you why. So I've been looking at disc locks for my motorcycles for a while, just as an extra security measure, and these are the 4 that I chose as the best buys. Firstly, every one of these 4 locks is sold secure with a gold rating. So that means they've been tested to be able to withstand certain attacks, but not including grinder attacks. The Oxford Alpha XA14 and the Zovii ZD15S are both actually alarmed locks, so they will give off a siren if tampered with. And these 2 locks are pretty much identical, just with different branding and different manufacturers. So with any security, you're only as strong as your weakest link. Now these locks are for your disc, so they will just go around your disc to stop your wheel turning, because they'll hit the brake caliper there. So you could still pick the bike up and take it away. It's not secured to the ground. So if you want the best security, secure your bike to the ground with a ground anchor and a chain and lock. So the reason I only chose to get the secure gold rather than the diamond was the price point. Now some of these were only £12 to £15 and these £30 to £40, which is a good price for a deterrent. So the reason I didn't go for the sold secure diamond is because of the price. Now you're starting to look at things like £200 to £300 for a sold secure diamond. So the reason I don't think that they're worth it is because these locks just go around the disc. So if it is easier to cut the disc in 2 locations with a grinder than cut through the lock or through here, then why bother? You just need the deterrent. If they're going to grind through your disc to take the disc lock off, then it doesn't matter whether it's a £15 lock or a £15,000 lock. If it's easier to cut the disc with a grinder, then that's what will happen. So your lock only needs to be harder to get off than cutting through the disc. So this is the Zovii, or the Zovii, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, the ZD15S. So this is a sports bike shop own brand. You can only get them from there. So we bought this one because it's not only well priced, but also a sold secure gold and has an alarm system. So as you can see, it comes with a small lithium battery, a hex key to be able to install the battery, and a reminder to go between the lock and your handlebars. It also comes with 3 keys and also a code should you need to order any more keys. Now, first of all, we need to install the battery so that the alarm system works. So we'll remove the keys, and then if you look down inside there, you'll see that there is a small screw that needs to be removed. So with the screw removed, this plate comes off, and then inside you'll see that is the siren. So we need to remove the siren to be able to fit the battery inside. So there is a small rubber bung over the battery compartment to help with its water resistancy, and then we need to install this battery into here. It needs to go in like this. So once the battery is installed, you can put your dust cover back over the battery compartment, and then that is ready to install back into the lock. You see there's a tab on the siren there, and there's a recess inside the body. So that goes in there like that, and then just pushes down to secure. Once the siren's installed like that, you can put the cover back in place, and then that's ready for the screw to go back in using the hex key. So just put that down there like so, and then tighten that back up. So that is now the lock ready to use. So to arm the lock, you just lock it as normal, and that's it armed. That is it telling you that it's armed, and that's just telling us to stay away because it's going to go off. This is your warning. Here we go. That is very loud, and as you see there, to turn the alarm off, you need to unlock it with the key, which also switches the alarm off. So moving on to the Oxford Alpha XA14, which is another alarmed disc lock. So this one has a very similar design in that the siren pops inside, but this siren has a USB. So you actually charge this one with a USB port, and it has a small LED there. So once this is charged, you can then put this back inside. So this has a dust protector for the USB port. So put this on there like that. And then that is ready to go back in. So that slides in there like that. This cover goes over the top like that. And then, like the other one, this also goes back in with a screw using a long Allen key, like so. Very similar in design and idea. So that is now this one ready to use. Now I must admit that installation of the alarm system was easier than the other one, and it's good that it is a USB charging system. So very much like the ZD15S, this one is armed when you put the key in like that. That tells you that it's armed, and then if you make any movements, there we go, we're getting the warning again. So that's telling you that it's going to go off. And then that is how you switch it off. This one is rated at 110 decibels, but in this room here, it sounded just as loud as the other one. Certainly enough to be ear splitting. So the hope with either of these two locks is that that alarm is loud enough to be ear splitting for a potential burglar to decide it's not worth the hassle, and also raise the alarm for myself, who can then phone the police. But more importantly, it's there as a deterrent to stop someone wanting to steal a bike in the first place. So these last two locks here are pretty much identical. In fact, I would say they are identical. They're probably made in the same factory, but just licensed under this brand by permission or vice versa. But I would say that they are the same. So both of these are sold secure gold. And as you can see, you just line the lock up with the key. That comes off there. They are double locked, so on the two little ridges there, and you can see inside. And then this just goes through your disc, locks, and then comes out. And then you can just turn this dust cover just to protect the lock. And that's it. So yes, these two, one was about £11 and one was about £15. Now that all depends on availability from either your online stores or in store. So I bought both of these just to compare the two, and because I wanted one that was a different colour to the other. So that's it on the bike, and this can just turn over to keep dust and debris out of the lock. So we're going to fit this lock here now, and then we'll do a sensitivity test. So I'm sure the one beep means it's armed. That is the confirmation that it's armed. We're just going to do a sensitivity test. So this lock is now on and armed. So we're going to attempt to move the bike and see how sensitive the alarm system is. So straight away you can see that as soon as I picked up the bike, it gave me a warning. So if I was to... Oh no, is that going to go off now? Well, it did warn us, and then it went off. So I think the double beep means it is no longer armed. And then the single beep means it is armed. So now we'll do the same test with the Oxford alarm and see how sensitive this one is. So there's the confirmation beep that we are armed. Now I'll just pick the bike up. So that's not as sensitive as the Zovii in regards to it didn't activate or give us a warning just when we picked the bike up. So we'll try that again. So still no warning. And there we go. It's now just gone straight into alarm. Didn't give us any warnings. So as you saw there, the Oxford lock didn't seem as sensitive in regards to the activation of the alarm. But when it did activate, it didn't give us a warning sound or a pre-warning. It just went straight into, I'm going to alarm. So I hope you've enjoyed that demonstration of these different locks and my recommendations for this year to keep your bike extra safe. Let me know in the comments which one of these locks you would buy, or if you would buy any others. So one other thing to consider is things like a larger U-lock, like these, but much bigger, that go around your wheel and tyre. Therefore, you cannot just cut the disc brake to get the lock off. You would have to cut through the actual lock itself. And that's where things like the hip locks and the light locks come into their own, because they're very difficult to cut with a grinder, so you're not getting those off very easily in a hurry. So if you're just wanting a disc lock as an extra deterrent for £15, £30, £40, then I very much recommend one of these 4 locks. If you need something more secure, then look at the hip lock or the light lock, but then you're talking a couple of £100. And then the most secure would be something that goes to a ground anchor. Also have a look at the Sold Secure website. That will give you a list of all of the locks that have been tested and how they are rated. And I hope everyone's bikes are safe in 2026. So thanks very much for watching. Catch you in the next one. See you later. Bye bye.